In this next presentation, we're going to discuss lockout tagout, or also known as LOTO. We'll start off talking about a few incidents that we've had in the past with LOTO. So on December 21st at 9 a.m., a contractor stepped onto an energized packaging conveyor without performing LOTO. The contractor was stepping on the packaging conveyor to cut the top sheet film. The acceptable practice is to use the trap key system as a form of LOTO while stepping onto the conveyor to cut the top sheet. We found out that the root cause of this was the employee found an easier, faster way of performing the task, and that's what caused them to put themselves at risk. So for that, we had a safety stand down, and I will say too, LOTO at our site is considered a life-saving rule. Should you violate LOTO, you are violating a life-saving rule, and you will be terminated from our site. In this situation, the top sheet film dispenser was not acting appropriately, and the employee was just trying to keep the machine running. So they put the machine in manual and jumped up on the conveyor. He could have severely hurt himself by getting caught in the rollers on the conveyor if someone were to come along and turn that on. We in no way expect you to work with broken equipment or try to fix broken equipment yourself. All you have to do is shut it down and let a team leader know. So never do this because you, like I said, you will be terminated and you could very much hurt yourself. So lockout tagout has 11 steps. These steps are posted in our break rooms and in the control room. The first step is to identify all the hazards. You want to then notify affected personnel, shut down the equipment, isolate the energy sources, apply your lock and tag, verify or test, like try to start up the equipment, go ahead and perform the work, inspect the area, remove your personal lock, notify affected personnel, and then de-isolate and restart up. If a machine that needs maintenance is not capable of being locked out, we have to stop work, contact the FLS or the team captain, and start the written deviation request process. You can't just proceed with something that can't be locked out. So a quick definition, we have some people called AVP, stands for Authorized Verification Personnel. This is the individual that makes sure trailers are set up correctly. The AVP also locks out the interior loading doors when loading is complete. It's the last line of defense for securing the safety of the forklift operators who enter the trailers. An AVP may be any one of the following. It could be a Celanese first line supervisor, Celanese operator, a Spherion team leader, Spherion step-up team lead, or the Spherion safety coordinator, or the logistics tech that works in the shipping office. They are the only ones that may put their red lock on and verify that the trailer has been set up correctly. So, like I said, the red locks are used by those AVPs. These locks are attached to the equipment or trailer air before the gold lock is attached. Each red lock will have a tag with the correct person title and the correct date. The red lock is the first lock on and the last lock off. So before the first person verifying that everything has been locked off should be like a supervisor or a team lead, and the last person to unlock the equipment and return it to service should also be a supervisor or a team lead. Gold locks are your personal locks, and they should be used when locking out equipment or locking out air from trailers. These locks are applied after the red lock has been attached to the equipment or trailer air line. The lock should have a tag attached with a name and correct date on the tag. If you are going to be working on the equipment or are going into the trailer, you will use the gold lock. The key must be kept on your person. You may not give your key to anyone else to remove your lock. You also may see blue locks. These are group locks. Maintenance uses them. They have several keys that go to them, and a work permit is required for work done in groups. Celanese employees use the blue lock group exclusively. So you are not allowed to have a blue lock even on your locker at our site, or gold lock or red lock, because we use these certain colors for lockout tagout. When isolating the energy or shutting the energy down, from equipment, especially if you're going to a box like this to flip the switch. You want to make sure that you are facing away from the opening of the door. What could happen is, and you want that door in between you and the opening. So what can happen is called an arc flash. When you go to shut down that equipment, an arc of electricity can shoot out of there. And if you are standing in that by the opening, you're going to get hit right with it and burned. So you want the door between you and where the electricity can come out. If you're working on equipment at shift change, the oncoming pack-out tech or forklift operator will follow the first 4 steps of LOTO procedure and then apply his or her gold lock to the energy source. The original pack-out tech may then remove his or her gold lock at that time. So you can see here it's things that are locked out and tagged out with the red and the gold lock and the tags attached. Removal of an authorized person's personal lock and tag by someone other than the original tag signer. So if an authorized person's personal lock or tag must be removed from a hazardous energy isolation device by someone other than the tag signer, then the following must be completed. If the lock belongs to a contractor, the supervisor must be contacted prior to proceeding with removing of the lock. The person removing the lock must verify that the original tag signer is off the plant site. The person removing the lock must contact their supervisor and review the situation. All the steps of the section must be reviewed with their supervisor. The supervisor must then attempt to contact the original tag signer and verify that it is safe to remove the person's personal lock or have the employee return to the site to remove the lock. The person removing the lock must also review the job status and all other authorized personnel working on equipment or machinery. A close inspection must be done by the person removing the lock. If the original tag signer was not contacted, then the supervisor must be on site to supervise and witness a personal lock to be removed. The supervisor must review all the steps described in the section prior to authorizing and witnessing the lock removal. If the tag signer was contacted, they should return to the plant and remove their lock. If the original tag signer was not contacted, then the supervisor must take effective measures to contact them as soon as possible to explain that their personal lock has been removed. So we go through all of this because say you leave the site and you leave your lock on the equipment. We don't want to assume that you are somewhere still within the equipment working on it. So anytime you leave the site, make sure you are removing your gold lock before you do. This will prevent you having to come back to the site to remove your gold lock and an incident being submitted for your not removing it. Some of our equipment, like our packaging equipment, uses trap key systems. And they can be used, you can use a trap key system without requiring a permit or lockout tagout as long as no mechanical work is being performed. So the second you're having to replace parts, that's when you need lockout tagout. But essentially a trap key system forces you to shut off the energy before you're allowed to enter in a certain area, which creates it makes it a safe place to change out different things. So we've had a couple incidents from the lockout tagout procedure for loading and unloading trailers. So the first incident was a forklift operator was backing from the trailer and ran into a gap between the trailer and the dock door, causing the truck to become jammed and risking the operator's life. A very dangerous situation. That's part of the reason why we match diamond to diamond with the dock plates when we do the trailer setup. We do not want that trailer shifting while you are driving onto it. The second incident was a forklift operator was inside a trailer when a truck operator pulled the trailer away from the door, risking the life of the operator. So in this case, the worker was in the truck continuing to load. The truck was not locked out. The airline to the truck was not locked out properly, and the tractor-trailer driver was able to hook up and pull away. Had the trailer been locked out properly, they would not have been able to do that. So the LOTO process for an unattached trailer is we want to make sure the trailer is backed all the way to the dock door and that it's touching the dock bumper. The tandem wheels should be at the rear of the trailer. We have had issues in the past where the tandem wheels were not functioning correctly. We want to report that immediately. The AVP must place a sign in front of the trailer and place a glad hand lock with a red process lock and tag on the air supply of the trailer. The trailer is set up by placing 2 chocks at the tires, 2 jacks at the front of the trailer, and the forklift driver will place his or her gold lock with a tag on the glad hand attached to the air supply. We want to then inspect the trailer and begin loading and unloading. When the forklift driver is finished, he or she must ask the AVP to place the chain and red lock across the dock entry door prior to removing any other locks. That prevents other drivers from driving into the trailer when it's being broken down. The AVP's red lock is the first one on and the last one off every time. It's the supervisor's lock that should go on and off. As you re-verify the trailer when you're going to load it, and then you put your gold lock on. And then before you leave or when you're done with that trailer, you remove your gold lock. So process for using locks on trailers with that the truck is attached. So if you're unloading a van-style truck where the airlines cannot be locked out, the ignition key must be locked in a lockbox in the shipping office. The key is then returned to the driver when the job is complete. LOTO violations can result in some very severe injuries. If at any time you are working with equipment, if it's the rubber conveyors or an elevator, you never stick any part of your body across the plane where that equipment operates to fix anything. So if a bale of rubber is jammed, you do not stick your hand anywhere near that conveyor. You stop the line and you get a Celanese employee. So that goes with any equipment. Our last injury was because a employee was adjusting a photo eye. We have a lot of different photo eyes with what we do. You are not allowed to touch or adjust photo eyes. You're allowed to report that it is not working. So do not adjust anything without properly locking out the equipment. Like I said, violations of this can result in termination. They have resulted in termination, but even worse than that, they could result in severe injury. So let's make sure we're using lockout in everything that we do. And that concludes this presentation.